wacky woo. Fujiyama, got your mama, then your troubles increase. Semi-cola and a soda, earthquake, milkshake, 10 cents a piece. They hug you and kiss you each night for my chicken, what's worth the price. Back in a second, where the pills to wacky and the women wiki wacky woo. Back in a second, where the pills to wacky and the women wiki wacky woo.
Yeehaw!
Good job, K-Bob.
Great job.
Did you get it all spit out there?
Most of it.
Well,
Mercy.
welcome, Eric.
Well, welcome you guys. This is the kind of stuff that we live for here at Caldwell County Television, because we get to have so much fun and seeing our good friends Patrick and Kay Crouch, and you guys are talking about your upcoming. How many is this?
24.
24 with some COVID pauses.
Yes.
We got them all in.
No, we actually went early and went late and got them.
And
We got them all
squeezed
in.
them all
We
in.
did.
Right, so
Thanks
The
to
24th annual Caldwell Traditional Musicians Showcase. Mercy.
Salute. Yeah.
that's
So
all.
that's-
It's
We
all
got
of that.
2020 done in February, and we had to delay 2021 to July just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But we're back.
But you're back.
We're here.
And you got another show coming up.
It's called Ain't Misbehaving,
Ain't Misbehaving.
and it's
Might
gonna.
be a lie.
Why?
might be.
You behaving a little bit?
We don't behave
That's
too
what
much.
we hope you're misbehaving, because we want to see that misbehavior. We want to see it. And as always, you got the great poster for it. You got the great poster art. You're going to see these around town. You're going to see these all over. So go ahead and get your tickets, because you got the great show, which we know Pat and Kay's always going to have a great show. But on top of that is you get to have food again this time.
Oh, yeah.
The culinary folks at the community college, yeah, they got it. They've got a whole buffet. What all they got, Eric?
They've got vittles.
Yeah, what all's going on
you're
with
gonna have a
that?
salad bar.
Yeah.
And also going to have sweet tea. Actually, sweet tea broiled pork loin.
Ah.
So it's even more than that. A nice rice pilaf, collard green marmalade.
Mm-hmm.
So these culinary folks, they try some stuff. Sweet potato. I'm not even sure how to say that.
Kay can say
Okay.
it.
Mock shoe.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And so sweet potato mock shoe and
They're
a
fluffy.
banana pudding trifle. So that sounds really good.
Yeah,
That sounds the best. But we have a friend that's down there in the culinary class and that's doing stuff. We do some shows with the extension with Miss Margie, and she's probably going to be prepping some of that and getting that ready.
Yeah,
so if you want to taste some of Margie's cooking from the channel, you got a shot.
That's exactly right.
Now, the show starts at 7:30, but what time does the dinner start?
I don't think it has a time on the poster, but
Does it not?
if you want,
It probably usually goes about
6.
Yeah, 6. Probably
I would say the meals at 6, and it's a beautiful meal. Chef Corey came up with the menu there, and of course he's got all his fine people preparing the food. And it's deluxe. You know, you can go upstairs and have your dinner, and then just walk down and see the show. It's going to be a great evening.
Meet the crowd.
Yeah, and who all's playing music on the show this year, K-Bob? Who all have we got?
We're starting out.
Well, Strictly Clean and Decent. We're changing the format's going to be a little different this year. We listen to our audience members, and we get ideas from people all the time, and we also get comments all the time. One of the main comments I've heard over the years about the show is that we usually have so many performers on that they only do 2 or sometimes 3 is the most songs anybody's ever played in a row. So this year we're going to do a package show, and it's going to be a half an hour of Strictly Clean and Decent, and then a half an hour of the Page Brothers, Andy and Zack Page with their wonderful drummer Gary Claude, and they're going to do a tribute to North Carolina jazz. And then of course we have my favorite part of the show, intermission.
You just like talking to folks.
It's easy for me to do intermission. And then when we start back with the second half of the show, we're going to have alternative rock from Sara and Caitlyn King. And these are sisters. And I met Sara and Caitlyn at a weekly jam session that's been going on at Liquid Roots in Lenoir. And so for the past 3 years, I've had the pleasure of hearing the music that these girls produce. And not only that, but watching them network and meet people in Caldwell County and seeing how they've influenced Caldwell County musicians, and in turn, how they've picked up on some of the things that we do over here.
That's right. The name of their band is the NeverB.
The NeverB,
yeah.
The NeverB.
That's
great,
really cool.
Yeah, great sense of humor and great music. I think our audience will really enjoy these folks. And then we'll close out with a half an hour set by the Shelby Rae Moore Band. And Shelby Rae, in my estimation, is Caldwell County royalty. She's named after her grandfather, her paternal grandfather, who was Shelby Rae Moore, former sheriff of Caldwell County. And she grew up playing music with her uncles Chet and Brent Palmer, who were the sons of the great Cecil Palmer. So that makes Cecil Palmer is Shelby's grandfather on the maternal side. So in my estimation, there's two people there, her S. Ray Moore had a big impact on the county, and then Cecil Palmer, her other grandfather, I think has had a big of an impact on Caldwell County musicians as anybody I've ever known. And Cecil's influence spans beyond Caldwell County. As a matter of fact, Kay and I have been playing a lot of music with Ron Shuffler since about 1988, whenever that was back in the 1900s.
That's the last century.
Yeah, but we've known Ron Shuffler forever, and one of his main influences in music and one of his musical heroes is Cecil Palmer. Yeah. So there you go. Cecil's got a far-reaching.
He's so important that we actually built one of our showcases around
Yeah.
Cecil.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
All the people who were related to him or who had played with him.
Yeah, we've done that before. So that's the format of the show. So people who have asked to see more of a particular artist, you're going to get a chance to do that. And plus, like Kay and Ron and myself, we've hosted this show for 24 years, and we've never played more than 2 songs on the show ourselves. So we're a little bit nervous. We're going to see if we can play a few in a row for y'all. And but it's going to be great, and it's a celebration of American roots music. And when Kay and I started this showcase, we said, what's the format going to be? Who's going to play on the show? And we decided it was going to be people who had a strong Caldwell County connection, and mostly people who were self-taught. There's always been strong music programs in Caldwell County that teach classical music, and we've got wind band tradition here in Caldwell County that's so strong. And Kay, you might want to talk a little bit about the show that was actually the forerunner to this show, the one that we did with Etta Baker and Mike Cross and the saxophone. You want to talk about that?
Right. I wish I could remember the title of it. What? It was in 1998, and it was run through the Arts Council.
And I think we just called it the Caldwell Music Project. I think.
Yes,
I think that's what it was
right.
called.
And it was. Gosh, you caught me off guard.
Oh, sorry. Well, I didn't mean to do that.
Yes, so what you said, that it had Pudding Stone and us, and the Lenore Saxophone Quartet, and
Etta Baker,
Mike Cross. Etta Baker.
Right.
And so we had a wide variety of kinds of music. Some of it by trained musicians and others by folk musicians who learned through the oral tradition.
Right.
And I think Patrick and I had a foot in each camp.
Yeah, well, I was straddling the fence. I remember that.
Ow.
But Kay, one of the things Kay did that year was Kay produced a study guide that went along with the show. And that study guide is still available in all of the schools in Caldwell County. Every school in Caldwell County has a copy of that. And we're proud of that work because it was really the precursor to our show. And then later on, David Briggs invited us to bring a basement show, more or less, like what we're doing today. Eric came over here and sat down, and we're sitting here playing some music and telling some stories and laughing. And David Briggs said, well, I think that would be great if we could capture this personality and just put it on stage. And so that's
had great foresight with that, because when he first approached me, he's like, "Is there any way we can take what happened in your basement and put it on stage?" And I went, "I don't think so."
How does that translate?
We talked to Patrick about it.
Yeah.
And so we got to thinking about it, and the first one was in the September of '98, and yes, September of '98, and it was called "It Must Be Something in the Water."
Yeah.
And
well, You're lying a little bit, but that's all right. It was called Southern Accent. It was called Southern Accent. Yeah. Okay, Bob, I'm going to tell you, there's a Southern accent
Music with a Southern accent.
where I come
And it
from.
looks like we actually skipped a year. That was on the 98-99 series.
It was,
in the
yeah.
fall semester. And then our next one was in early 2000. It was in the 99-2000 series. So we didn't really skip a year. We just, moved to the spring semester.
Yeah, well, we had to get in the rotation.
Yeah.
And, everything you do in life is an audition. You're an old theater guy. You know that.
Yeah.
Everything's an audition, isn't it, Eric?
Show me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it basically is.
Yeah. And so I think after the first show, after Southern Accent, people realized that this could be a thing.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's going to work.
That's what you meant.
Yeah, and so thanks to David Briggs, and again, as far as the Civic Center staff, they were wonderful, most wonderful people in the world. They've supported this show from the beginning, and especially a tip of the hat to Jeff Bentley. Jeff, I've at times, I've brought so many people playing so many different instruments. I just knew he was going to have me strung up, but he's always done a great job for us, and this year is no different. I sent Jeff all the tech information, and he, no problem. He says, I'll take care of that, and he does.
Yeah.
And so it's just a joy. It's a joy for us to play in the beautiful setting over there, the Civic Center. If you've not been to the Civic Center yet, it's one of the great auditoriums in this part of the country. You can talk to performers who travel the world over playing music, and every person I've ever met coming after a show over there comments on how wonderful the facility is. And usually they comment on two North Carolina audiences. Not only do we have a reputation in North Carolina for a lot of musicians, but we have a reputation for people supporting music. And so that makes me very proud to be a part of this community thing.
I was afraid he was going to say heckling.
No, I'm really not good with hecklers. Some people are. Some people are good with hecklers. A few years back, we had a gentleman who grew up in Hudson, North Carolina. We had a show called Coming Home, and it featured a man named Jim Avett. And Jim grew up. He lived in Caldwell County from the time he was 9 until he was about 19. His dad was the preacher at the Methodist Church in Hudson, and Jim plays live music shows. And speaking of heckling, I was playing a show with him. It was a singer-songwriter thing in Charlotte. And it was in a known listening room in Charlotte. And after about the third song, somebody started talking to Jim from the back of the room, and he didn't even bat an eye. He said, let's just stop right here. He said, this is not a dialogue. He said, this is a show.
That's pretty much true.
And that took care of that. But that was a pretty diplomatic way to do it.
I saw Ricky Skaggs actually shut somebody down.
Oh yeah,
and
well,
I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, but we're lucky we don't have to do that. We've
great.
in all the years, knock on wood, in all the years we've played music in Caldwell County, we've had a very supportive audience, and so we love being here. We love the music, and this show is a celebration not only of the roots music, but the people who play that music.
Yeah.
We were talking about Shelby Rae earlier, and her Uncle Brent. I always say he's the brains behind the outfit because he's from a young age he guided Shelby toward the types of songs I guess it's this kind of stuff he liked and he wanted to hear her sing it. But he really did her a great service by mentoring her that way. And we've got 2 open mics going on in Caldwell County right now. One's at Liquid Roots and one's at the Happy Valley Filling Station. And what I've seen in the last 10 years with these open mic situations is a lot of the younger folks are composing their own songs, playing their own kind of music. And that's what the NeverBs will be doing, Kay. The Caitlyn and Sara King, they've actually got a new recording that I think may be out in time for the showcase. It's just all original material for them. The Page brothers are steeped in jazz tradition. And Andy Page has been an inspiration for me for 30 years. The first time I heard Andy play, he was 18 years old. And I think he's getting close to the big 5-0. And so he's been inspiring me for a long time. and he's humble, and he knows his stuff, and so it's always a joy, not only to hear him play, but to tell you why he's playing it. And so I'm really looking forward to this North Carolina jazz presentation that's going to take place during the show. And as far as for what Kay and Ron and I are playing, we're going to open with a Western swing number, and then we're going to get into a boogie woogie. And I don't know if a lot of people remember Blind Boy Fuller or not, but in the 40s, Blind Boy put out a song called Step It Up and Go. And two of my dear friends, Carolina Ray Wisnut and Pop Ferguson, I've had them both in this studio recording, you know, so when you record, sometimes you get tired and you have to shoot the breeze a little bit and get a libation maybe. But I've had them both talking, and both Carolina Ray and Pop Ferguson told me that the Blind Boy Fuller recording was what inspired them to start playing guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we're doing a song that's based on a Blind Boy song. It's called the Rooster Rock. And we'll tell the whole long story of that. It's a beautiful long story too. They're all long stories. Then we're going to do Bon Jovi, and that's a little bit of what you got a taste of a while ago was the Bon Jovi set, and tribute to Bon Jovi. And I'll be playing the banjo, playing an Irish jig, and then I'll be playing an English hornpipe, the Ricketts hornpipe, and then hey Pearly Blue.
You're very wet.
And then I'll be playing with Kay the song Back in Nagasaki. What'd you find out about Nagasaki, Kay Bob? You like Pearly Blue? Pearly's been out.
Better when she's dry.
Pearly's been out. Pearly's been outside. Yeah, she's back in now.
Yep.
She's probably on her way back out now, Keegan. I don't know.
This is real life.
She usually walks in and out. What'd you find out about Nagasaki, K-Bob?
Nagasaki is a Tin Pan Alley song from
Yes,
the
well,
1920s.
yeah, there we go.
And it was played by a lot of groups in the 40s. During World War II, it doesn't really have anything to do with it, and it doesn't have anything to do with anything really. It's just a nonsense song.
A lot of Tin Pan Alley stuff was that way. Yeah.
But it's basically somebody talking about Nagasaki and somebody who doesn't know anything about Nagasaki, so they're just making stuff up.
Oh yeah, well,
okay.
That's usually.
But the coolest thing about Nagasaki is what is it? Old time rock and roll. You know how you hear.
Yeah.
And everybody heads to the dance floor.
Oh yeah.
That's the way Nagasaki was. Everybody heard the beginning of Nagasaki, and they'd run to the dance floor and do the Charleston.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
the Charleston.
Well, maybe we'll have some dancing in the aisles. And
Pearly Blue's like putting in.
She's
She's
trying
putting
to-
in her bit.
Pearly. She's
Dry on you.
She says, "Where are the? We don't have any towels around here. I'll just go dry off on these people." Then we're going to do a country song by Bob McDill, and one of my favorites called "Good Old Boys Like Me." And we actually had a showcase named that in 2005, so we're going to reprise that one. And then we're going to finish up with a song written by the great Roseanne Cash, and her connection to American roots music is the fact that she's Johnny Cash's daughter.
And her mom too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So beautiful music all the way around. So, okay, what's next?
What is next?
I don't know. It's whatever. We just wanted to take the time to come and see you guys, and they were so nice to let us come to Tick Knock Studio.
Yeah, here we are. We're in the studio. One thing we did here in Tick Knock Studio that we're so proud of was we did a series of 10 recordings of our showcase. We made 10 CDs that we sold at our showcases, starting around, let's see, that started...
He's looking at all the posters.
I'm looking to see when that started. Yeah,
He's looking at all the posters.
It went from 2000 to 2010.
Yeah, we'll get over there.
Our goal was to record 100 musicians on 10 CDs.
Yeah.
Over a 10-year period.
And I'm looking at the posters going, I got that CD, I got that CD, I got that CD.
Exactly.
And that the artwork on those posters are really magnificent. And Ron Wilson at the college was responsible for all of them, and in the 10-year period between 2000 and 2010, a lot of the posters were based on the covers of CDs that we had made of Caldwell County musicians, and that cover work was done by David Kortner.
Yes.
So that 10-year period is a collaboration between.
Yeah, and David Kortner, not only did he do the CDs for those 10 years, he's got a whole gallery of photos from the live shows that are available at davidkortner.com.
.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
.com, and he's always been a big supporter, not only of our music, but of all the music in Caldwell County. I know several of the artists that I've recorded here in the studio. Dave does the artwork for their covers.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and most recently he did a cover for Rick Cannon. A lot of people know Rick Cannon and his father, Rick Cannon. They're both Rick Cannon. So the stage name is Chico and the Man. And we recently did a project for Rick, and David Courtner did the artwork there. So it's good stuff all the way around.
So how do you get to record at Tick Knock Studios?
Well,
what you got to do?
Well,
who you got to buy off?
Honest,
got to slip the money to?
Honestly, we don't operate. We do not operate a public studio.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We do not do it.
It's like a secret handshake.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. Well,
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mostly these are people that I've known for a really long time.
Oh, okay.
and people that I love, and I'm like the shoemaker. I have the shoemaker's the guy whose shoes are all torn up.
Yeah.
I've got so many projects that believe it or not, I am working on things. I've got so many projects going of my own that's why I don't run a public studio.
Oh,
but I do recommend. There are a lot of public studios around, and if anyone's interested in recording some of their own music, I can steer you to those people, and I'll beg off. I'll beg off. What I found out, Eric, was that running the studio takes away from my personal music.
Yeah, it's going to take away from your creative
takes
time.
away from my composing, my practicing, and time that I might be spending with Pearly Blue and K-Bob there.
Well,
so,
a little bit of what I've known about visual art, and is that you have two phrases, and you have to know, and that's you say, heck yeah, I want to do that, or heck no, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
And you kind of have to learn that when you're a creative person, is you have to know when to say yes and no.
That's what you learn. And I will tell you, though, that during the time that I did that Kay and I and Ron did the 10 CDs, we recorded, I think, about 132 tracks, and we ended up having, there's over 100 people on those recordings. That's what we set out to do. We set out to record 100 Caldwell County musicians, and so we ended up with about
somewhere in there.
Yeah, and but we had more than 132 tracks because there were 10 CDs, and each one of them had at least 16 tracks on it. So it's more like in the 170s, somewhere in the 170s of tracks. And basically, when you record a song like it, you're talking about working here in the studio, a good bass line is 3 hours per song. So, if you got 15 songs, well, there's 45 hours of just working on the music with those people,
Yeah.
Plus then after that's done, that's just getting it tracked. That's just getting it down.
Yeah.
And that's Nellie Kane coming on in there. She's checking it. We got a new vocal mic. She's checking that out. But so you got that. That's just getting the track down. Then post-production can be even more than that, depending on how serious you want to get with it. A friend of mine named Steve Thomas put out an acoustic CD. This would have been probably 15 years ago, and I thought it was the greatest acoustic sounding recording I had ever heard. And so when I ran into Steve, I was just gushing, Eric. I said, Steve, what in the world did you do to make that record sound so good? He looked at me and he said, I spent way too much time mixing and EQing.
Oh.
But he was talking about.
I want to hear it again.
Yeah. But it was, there's a lot of things, but studio work is good work, and right now I know two different groups. I know Sycamore Bones has got an original project going on right now, all original music, and I don't think it's going to be too long before John Boy and Lefty start cranking out some original. I know John Boy's got some cool original music. And that's one of our newest duets on the circuit around here. John Boy Dahl from out in Happy Valley, and Kent Spears is his official name. We call him Lefty. That was his childhood name. But they play some really good blues. And so that's the other thing about American roots music. It's filled with blues influences. And I think on our show this year, Shelby Rae probably has studied the blues as much as anybody on the show. Don't you think that, Kay? She's going to be our blues artist. Alarm.
And you're talking about Shelby Rae, and you know, talking about her lineage,
Yeah.
I mean, she couldn't do nothing but sing.
Oh
or
yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, and she's
Crazy.
well, she's studied. She's you know, singing is a very it's a wild thing, because some people are technically great singers, and you know, and they got every note in time and every note in tune, but it doesn't communicate anything to anybody.
No.
And then other people are like Bob Dylan or Chris Christopherson. They may not be the best technical singer, but man, their music goes straight to your soul.
Yeah.
Well, every now and then you get somebody like Shelby Rae who can do both.
Yeah.
She can sing to you and through you. And Sara King is a mighty singer as well. I don't want to say that.
I'm sorry. I'm just more familiar with Shelby.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
I'm looking forward to seeing
And you
the
will be
NeverB.
familiar with the NeverB.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But with Sara and with Shelby Rae, I see a common thing that I've seen among people that I think are elite singers. Ryan Harris, in my opinion, is a person that I put in a category all by himself when it comes to male singers from Caldwell County. Ryan has been my favorite singer, and I know it hurts Kay when I say this. that Ryan's been my favorite singer, but he is, and I see a similar trait between him, Sara, and Shelby Rae Moore. They support other singers. And I think, Eric, I've not written my dissertation on this yet, but
you could.
But I think those people who sing with such humanity and such compassion and such empathy and understanding, sing to people, you know, like I was saying earlier, instead of singing over the audience, they sing to the audience. I think those people, they tend to be that way. They tend to support the other artists as well. And I'm always impressed by that. I'm impressed by the fact that they'll share their stage with people. If you go to a jam session, not only will there be a great singer like Ryan sitting there, but you know, he'll ask me to sing a song. And why? He doesn't need to hear me sing a song, but he's just generous that way. The last jam I went to at Shelby, she had 3 female singers at the jam besides herself. Wow. And she was encouraging all these people to sing, you know, and she was just listening. And Sara King at the jam, the jam sessions I've seen her, she never hogs the performance, you know. She'll do her thing, and then she sits there, and anytime anybody else is making music, I see that she's listening to it and taking it all in. Yeah. And so it's a really cool, to me, that's a really cool thing that we have in Caldwell County, and that's why, you know, the tradition keeps being passed on, and that was, you know, the whole purpose of calling it the Traditional Musicians Showcase, is that these are people. We listen to our peers, we listen to older folks, we listen to younger folks, and you know, the music just keeps feeding back into itself.
And you guys,
that's my take on it.
the beauty of not only the music that y'all produce yourselves, but then keeping this record for all of us. And for history. I mean, because you really are showing us what all these musicians, people wouldn't even have known about, maybe, you know?
The most amazing thing to me about all of it is that there are still a lot of musicians in this county who have not been on any of our showcases, any of the 25.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still out there, and they're coming up.
Oh yeah.
Through the jam program, and you know, and people moving in.
Yeah.
I heard 2 folks for the first time last night who just moved down from Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And you know, they were talking about how pleased they were to come into a community where the musicians are so supportive of each other.
Absolutely. And there's a young guy who's moved into town from Indiana. Orion, did he say Indiana or Illinois? Illinois. 22 years old, and he's into the, you know, I consider myself to be old, and so I think I know a lot of old songs. Well, here's this 22-year-old kid who moves to Caldwell County, and man, he's working on songs that are older than the ones I know.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's just what his thing is, you know, and that's the cool too, the variety of music that we have. There's a fellow in Caldwell County that I don't know, but I'll just make a public shout out to him right now. I follow his recording work. You were talking about recording?
Yeah.
There's a fellow named Chris Church here in Caldwell County. He's putting out some beautiful recordings. And I don't know him personally, but I've listened to his recordings, and I'm a big fan of what he's doing. Yeah. So, you try to keep your ear to the ground and just learn what you can from everybody, and that's what tradition is all about, really. Yeah. Some things you don't want to learn, but you had to anyway.
That's for sure. I've heard of the Church Brothers since I was in high school. They're about my age, and I'd been at a couple of parties and them sing. Okay. And so they were well known. God, back in the mid '80s.
Oh yeah. Years ago. Well, I want to give a shout out to Caldwell County TV. The first time some of you brave folks came over here, it was Bill Kincaid and David Hill.
There you go.
Now I remember Bill and David, and we actually for a while we did a TV show called It Must Be Something in the Water with Bill and David. And I remember we got to the end of the very first show and just talk about tradition and things, I thought we'd done a pretty good taping, and Bill said, okay, he said, now you got to sign off. I said, what are you going to sign off with? And I said, well, I don't know what to sign off with. And so I just said, keep them in tune, boys and girls. And so that's been my slogan. And I got that from Bill. Bill said you need to have a sign off. And then Charlie Little came on board. Yeah. And Charlie's been out here taping, and now here you are, Eric, and you brought Keegan with you. Yeah. And
it's a tradition of TV guys somehow.
You've never made it until you've been.
A lot of people don't realize how much you guys can help them here in Caldwell County.
That's true.
Because you can, of course we do radio, we do newspaper, we do flyers like you're talking about. Yeah. But one of our main ways of letting people know what we're doing is coming on the information channel with you guys. Yeah. Yeah, and man, we appreciate that so much. I always know when the show has aired, because everywhere I go all day, somebody will come up and say, "Well, I saw you on TV."
Go to the drugstore.
That's right. Yeah.
And everybody says, "Oh, I saw you," or it'll be 3 months later, for instance, you did the show.
Oh yeah.
And then they'll say, "I saw you on TV last night." And there's no way in the world they saw you on TV.
Right, exactly.
So that's what's always funny.
But you're reaching a lot of people, and we've learned that. We've learned that over the years. We have, Eric. We've learned that it's a great thing, and we always enjoy doing it. We always have fun because you can be yourself.
Yeah,
you can be yourself.
That's what we want.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were talking about taping this, and we're having some construction going on at the studios right now. They're trying to work on the building a little bit.
I see.
Spiff it up.
Yeah.
And so they're working on that. So they're banging and hammering.
I got you.
And so when we were talking about it, I was like, we need to go over there.
Okay,
we haven't been over here.
I'm glad you came.
So instead of construction, you got dogs.
But the dogs still aren't as loud as maintenance. I'll tell you that.
Right. Absolutely.
But and that's I don't know how many Zoom meetings I've done.
Oh yeah.
That a cat didn't walk across my computer, because we have 4 cats, and one of them comes by, and I'm on the board with the Arts Council and somebody says, "Well, which cat's going to be today?" That's what they'll say. So you never know when you're doing the Zoom. And speaking of the Arts Council, and you were talking about Ticknock Studio. Yeah. Well, that's how we started the studio back in the 1900s. Kay wrote a grant, and we received a grassroots grant from the Caldwell Arts Council. Regional Artist Grant. And that's how we started Ticknock Studio. That's how we bought our first tape. We were running reel-to-reel tape back then, analog tape. Yeah. And then also during the entire time that we did the CD project, what kind of grants were those, Kay?
Those were grassroots.
Kay wrote 10 grassroots grants, and that was the money that we used to get the manufacturing of the product. You know. We had the studio by that time, so our time was donated, but you still have to have labels printed, you have to have the disc replicated, you've got all that expense, and so we were very fortunate that the Arts Council supported us through all that. And I was just over at the Arts Council yesterday dropping off some posters, and I would really invite. There are a lot of folks in Caldwell County. When you mention the Arts Council, they really, well, where is it? What do they do?
Yeah.
And I tell this to all my musical buddies and any of the creative people I know when they ask, they come to Lenore, what do I need to see? I say, well, you need to meet the folks over at the Arts Council, and I would say that even to the man on the street, the Arts Council building is open every week. It's free. You can walk in and see some beautiful work, not just in music, but in all kinds of medium.
But you're going to find out what's going on in the area too. I find out stuff.
Yeah,
and I go there.
Well, sure, yeah, and these are creative people, and I think it's very important that we embrace all of that. I think that it's important that we embrace the beauty where we live. We don't have a big city, and because of that, we don't have a lot of big city problems. And you might look at Lenore, North Carolina, and say, "Oh well, you don't have what Charlotte has." Well, of course we don't. But Charlotte doesn't have Wilson's Creek, and
exactly.
And I'll mention Carolina Ray one more time. He cracked me up one day. We were riding across the mountain to go play music somewhere, and Carolina had been talking to me about his service in the Navy. And he'd been all the way up Avignon Road. He's telling me about Barcelona, Spain, and how everything was so good in Barcelona, Well, then we hit Attico Hill and started up the Attico Road. And about the time we got halfway up Attico Hill, Carolina Ray looked at me and he said, Pat, he said, I wouldn't trade all of Europe for Attico.
But that's true.
That's true, yeah.
And some of the Irish music, that's some of the stuff they talk about is just, how much their love of the land and home.
Exactly, and I have to say I am so guilty of that. I'm so guilty. I really am. I'm guilty of loving the place, and I'm really guilty of loving the people. But that's where we talk about all the musicians we have around here, all these creative artists we have. It's that connection to the land and to things that are real. There's not much plastic culture going on around here, is there, K-Bob? It's all real. It's all real.
Thankfully.
It's all real stuff. Yeah. So it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to be here in Caldwell County and be playing live music and see all the venues. We've got more venues for live music in Caldwell County now than we've had in my lifetime.
Wow.
We do, yeah. We've got more places to play. We've got more people playing. We've had over 250 people on this musician showcase over the years. We've had over 250, and as Kay said earlier, we still haven't had everybody. It's the tip of the iceberg, really. Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity here.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good stuff, and if you haven't been out to support things like the Arts Council or the J.E. Broyhill Civic Center, or the venues that have live music. If you haven't seen a show on the Hogwaller stage, that's my favorite thing to say. Miss Vicki over there.
Oh, Lord, Vicki. She's a treasure too.
She is, but she graciously opens the Hogwaller stage for events.
She's just
and I think
great.
There's a lot going on around town these days with live performance. So get out and support if you can, and especially come to the Civic Center on March 5th to hear Ain't Misbehaving, a celebration, K-Bob, of American roots music.
That's right.
Do you want to close? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the show starts at 7:30, and there is an optional dinner beforehand. You will need reservations for the dinner, I believe.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You will.
Need reservations for dinner.
Do you have a number on how?
I do not on this.
It's right here.
But if you go,
But
yes,
it is
I
here
got it
for
for the.
that.
Thank you. I've got it.
I guess it's part of the box office.
Yeah, you can call the box office. Lindsay's working over there. She'll take care of you.
Yeah, Miss Lindsay Barrett.
Yep.
The box office number is 828-726-2407. But the easiest way to get reservations on your tickets is to go to the broyhillcenter.com and just pre-order them. If you want to stop by the box office, it's open from 9 till 4.
Read that paper there,
10 to
K-Bob.
10 to 4 on Monday through Friday. It's best if you just go pick your tickets up in advance, and that way you don't have to worry about standing in line on the night of the show.
Yeah, and it's kind of crowded the night of the show.
Exactly. It really is crowded on the night of the show.
Go get them early.
And the box office is not open all day on the day of the show.
Oh yeah, that's important to know. The
Right.
box office opens at 5:30, 2 hours before curtain time
Right.
on the day of the show.
So get your tickets in advance and come see us and come to eat Chef Corey's wonderful food and
Lots of good
I
videos.
love pork. It's all about the pork.
Nellie King and Pearly Blue are all excited about the pork. They'll have some pork.
I'll have some
How about some chicken, Nellie King? Yeah, you like chicken too? Okay. What's your favorite part of the chicken, Nellie? Cook.
Yeah, the cook part.
Tail feathers. Take a tail feather.
Okay, Bob. Let's do the old Rooster Rock. In this barnyard, I'm king cock of the roost. I stay up all night drinking that moonshine juice. And I don't have to crow till the crack of noon. The hens go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? They just go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? I ain't never seen a rooster have such a crazy bop. If another red rooster comes messing round my hen, he won't believe the way I'm gonna tear into him. He'll be too chicken to ever cockfight again. And the hens go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? They just go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? I ain't never seen a rooster have such a crazy bop. Well, I'm sitting on a tree limb checking out the chicken scratch. You know, the farmer's in the smokehouse cooking up another batch. And all the chicks call me daddy-o, don't you know it when they hatch? They do, Kay, and they just go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? They just go coo, coo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Won't you look at that rooster rock? I ain't never seen a rooster have such a crazy bop.
All right.
The rooster
Thanks,
rock.
guys.
Yeah, you're welcome, Eric. Glad to have you here.
All right. Can't wait till Ain't Misbehaving.
There you go, man.